Hello everybody, I'm Art, the founder of Practical Programming, Coding Bootcamp in New York and in Chicago, and also I'm the author of Building Versatile Mobile Apps with Python. Today we're going to be talking about how to use Python for web development. And when I say to use Python for web development, I actually mean Django. Alright, so what is Django? Django is a Python framework. Really powerful. So today we're going to have two sessions. I mean, not two sessions, but two parts. So first part, I'm going to give you a little bit of theory and explaining how that stuff works. In the second part, we will build a small Django project from scratch. All right, and I'll explain you everything. If I move too fast, or if you want to see my original code, you'll find that code in the description to this video. And by the way, every week we do these interactive meetings, which are both fun and interactive. And you can ask me questions. We have chats going on. All right. Yes. All right. So people here. So you could ask me questions in real time. And after this session, we'll have Q&A session. And also you could actually send me your question in comments and everything. And of course, this is live session, so something could go wrong. All right. Now, also next session, we will dedicate to Python dictionary. So dictionary is very important data structure in Python and in all other programming languages. And I know that is kind of like tough topic, especially for beginners. So if you're a beginner, please subscribe to this channel and you won't miss a thing. All right. So without further ado, let me switch to my computer. And first question first, why Django? Why is Django? All right. Now, there are a couple of things why Django is so popular. So first of all, it's popular because it's a Python framework. And obviously, Python is the leader, so it's number one in all programming languages. And Python is easy to learn, relatively easy to learn, and it's easy to use. And you know, like probably better than me, that Python is in demand. And Python is really popular. So if you know Python, you don't need to know anything else. You could just jump and you could develop web apps in Python and in Django. All right. So then Django got these key features. So first of all, Django is object relational mapper. What that means? It means that it can manage a database. All right, so Django comes with a SQLite database, and if you're not sure if you want to use SQLite, so then you could replace that database with PostgreSQL or even Oracle. So as a matter of fact, you could use Django pretty much with any relational database. All right, and it's really powerful. So then it comes with MVC architecture, and I'll explain you what it means in my next slide. But MVC stands for Model View Controller, and it's a little bit difficult to comprehend. So when we get to that practical part, I'll explain you everything, how request comes into your app, what it does next, and all these ins and outs. I'll explain you everything. It also comes with template system, and I'll show you how you could create HTML templates, because obviously every app gotta have this front end HTML. So I'll show you how you could create your template. So it comes with a web server. Yes. You could actually run Django in developer mode, and again, I'll show you how it's done. It comes with URL design, URL dispatcher, and we'll build a couple URLs today. And yes, it's fast to develop, but more importantly, you can scale it. You can scale it, whether you have just one guy on your team, like myself, or if you have, I know, like if you're like Facebook and you have like unlimited resources, so you could use Django and you could go from small project to large one. All right, and one person could create pretty powerful web apps, and then you could scale them. All right. and it comes with a bunch of built-in modules such as authentication, authorization, and bunch of other stuff. And believe me, when you build in web app in this world, you don't want to build authentication from scratch, right? So, and you don't have resources, and obviously you want to do a better job that bunch of guys that been working on the project for quite some time and they know everything about security. So yes, it comes with everything. Django, we could say Django, batteries included. All right, so that's why it's popular. So all right, so question, who is actually using Django? Like giants? Instagram. So if you're an Instagram user, surprise, surprise, it's actually powered by Django. All right. So, for example, Instagram got two parts. So there is Django, and then as a front end, it uses React Native. And believe me, Django and React is really, really powerful story, real powerful combination. So then we got Spotify, YouTube, Dropbox, Eventbrite. I believe NASA, Google uses Django, and you could Google and you find like more companies, like large companies that actually running on oops, I got React. Yeah, I'm sorry, that's typo. So it's supposed to say Django. I'm sorry about that. But again, you could Google and see that Instagram is actually running on Django and React. So I guess I'm missing this part. All right, so sorry about that. Funny. Usually I get this question asked. So why Django? Because there is Flask. There are other frameworks. Now Flask is a lightweight and it's like really small, and you need to add other modules because you can, if you need, for example, build authentication, and I believe that any modern app would require authentication, then you need to add additional module to your Flask app. And in Django, everything in one place, so it's one-stop shop and everything is there. And Flask, you cannot use Flask to run something huge like Instagram with millions and millions of users. So Flask is something small, and usually people would say, hey, start with Flask and then move to Django. So that's not my approach. My approach, why waste your time? So you could jump directly to Django. It's not that complicated. And believe me, when we get to this practical part today, we're going to build that small app. All right? Okay. So now if you're brand new to web development and have no idea how this web application how any web application actually works. So I got this little thing that I would like you go through and explain you how that stuff actually works. So suppose we have a user, one happy user, and that user is trying to do something on a website. And pretty much these days, all websites, they do more than just render stuff. They you could register there, they send emails, you could filter, you could fetch information, and pretty much all the websites, they kind of apps. So I'll be using these words interchangeably, all right? So this happy user is actually this happy user wants to get some information from some website, all right, from some web app, okay? So his or her computer sends a request for information request. This request comes through HTTP protocol. So by the way, where do you find HTTP protocol? Everywhere. So if you go to that URL in YouTube, and if you point there, you see it starts with HTTPS. All right, S stands for secure. So via this HTTP protocol, the request is being sent to a server. So server is a huge computer, all right, that is on 24/7, and so there is security, there are other features, so it's pretty much like a huge computer. There is not much stuff going on there. And then we have some code, back-end code, and then we have a database. So all this stuff we call back-end, and all this stuff is actually hosted on a server. All right. Now, front end is what you see when you open this web app in your browser. Now, and usually people say I'm a full stack developer. So with Django, yes, you can be a full stack developer because Django can provide this back end, this part on server, and front end, and by front end I mean templates. If you're not happy with HTTP, you could actually send this information via JSON APIs. So, and for example, maybe you're trying to build an app for a cell phone, right? So if you want to build an app for a cell phone, you need to use either a Swift, or you need to use React Native, or you need to use Android, right? Java for Android. So then Django will be your back end, and it will be sending that information in JSON. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation, all right, via APIs. So you see, like you could use Django either like a back end or like a front end, or you can combine them. So because again, front end comes from HTML templates, and I'll show you how it's done today. All right, so let's talk a little bit about MVC because this is important. So pretty much 90% of all apps, they're using this architecture, model view controller. So if we translate this nice image, it all comes to this. So there is a user, and then user sends request, and then there is a controller. So what is a controller? Controller is code that manages everything. That's kind of like manager. Oh, okay, so you're asking for this, I'm going to give you this. You're asking for that, I'm going to fetch you that information. So that's what controller. And we're going to build one today. And then, based on user request, controller fetches information from model. Model, what is model? Model is a database, all right? So it might request information from that model, or it might write information into a model, right? So for example, if you're a blogger and if you're trying to create a post, so then you send in this information, and that information is being written into database. All right, so this is how it works. So model is a database, and then based on that information, this data is sent to view. Right, so view is pretty much like HTML templates. That's what we're going to see in our browser. All right. Now, if you don't want to use HTML, so then, I mean, if you're in the browser, you gotta use HTML, right? But if we talk about mobile apps, so then you could replace it with something else, like again React Native or Swift. So I think enough of theory. Let's build our first Django app, and then it will make more sense because I'm going to get back to that slide and I'm going to map it to our work. Now, again, if you want to follow with me, please feel free to move along. If you want to do it later, so you'll find all code and all instructions in the description to this video. So please go there and see what is there. All right, so now what I want to do, I want to start terminal. And what is terminal? Terminal is kind of backdoor to your computer. So let me open my terminal. All right. Now, if you, I'm on Mac, obviously I'm on Mac. So, but if you use Windows, in Windows, the same stuff called command prompt. So you go to your search, and then you type CMD for command prompt. Or if you're on Mac, so you go to search, and if you have no idea where to find terminal, just type terminal. So terminal kind of backdoor to your computer. All right. So first thing first, we need to create some kind of folder. So how do you create a folder? You make directory, make dir. By the way, this command, this is a Linux command. I'm not sure if this would work on Windows. So if you want to do this command, please Google, because Windows got its own commands. Make dir stands for make directory. And let's create YouTube project. YouTube project. So that's going to be our directory. YouTube, yeah. All right, project. All right, so now I could do cd. Cd stands for change directory. So I'm trying to get into that folder. All right, so now I'm there. And I'm going to run ls. ls stands for list. If you're on Windows, the same command done as dir, dir. All right, and you see nothing is there because it's a brand new folder. Nothing is there. So what we need to do, we need to install virtual environment. So what is virtual environment? So virtual environment is kind of like clean environment. If you ever watched ER, like emergency room, so you probably, like, every time they were doing some kind of operation, they had to set up that clean room, and so nobody could get, germs could not get in, and everything stays clean. So Django would run only in virtual environment. So virtual env and virtual, okay, let me see, virtual env VNV. All right, so and it will launch that virtual VNV, virtual environment, in that folder. So it's going to take a second. This is a live show. In the meantime, let me see questions. All right, so I think I'll do Q&A session a little bit later. All right, so it's done. So now we need to activate this virtual environment. If I do ls, so you see now we have this folder VNV because it was created by that command, virtual environment. All right, so how would we engage virtual environment? So it's going to be source VNV bin activate. Now you see we have this VNV in round brackets, so it means that virtual environment is engaged. All right, so now so far so good. So now after you engage virtual environment, you could start installing stuff. So we need to install Django itself. So the command is going to be pip install Django. Now, if you don't know, pip stands for Python Package Manager, and it's pretty much, if you never heard about it, so this command will help you to find a new version of Django and will install it. So you could think of it as an app store. You need an app, you go to an app store, but this would work only for Python. So I see that Django is installed, and now we can create our first project. All right, so what project do I have in mind? Let's build a small project. Let's call it like YouTube or whatever. And we will create a small app where we could have a database of all subscribers of this channel. And again, when I'm saying all, I cannot put everybody in there. So, but we're going to give it a try. Okay, so now how do we start the project? So command Django admin, that's a command, and then you need to type start project, and then you need to come up with some kind of name for your project. Let me call mine YouTube. All right, so that's a Django admin start project, and then whatever you want to call your project. If you want to do YouTube, call YouTube. You want to call it banana, call it banana. It's up to you. All right, again, I'm going to do ls here, and now you see we got this new project. All right, so now let me get into that project, and I'm gonna, all right, so I hope you got this. If you missed something, you'll find all instructions again in the description to this video. So now I do cd and I do YouTube. Let's do ls again. So, YouTube again, and manage.py. So let me explain you what's going on here. So YouTube So it's kind of like confusing at the beginning because Django will create a folder with the same name as your project, right? So here you got folder and then you got nested folder with the same name. So that's how it works. So this, I'll show you what's inside of this folder a little bit later, because that's kind of like brains and heart and everything of Django is here. And manage.py command that we're going to be using a lot. So that's kind of like a manager command that you always have to run. All right. So for example, if you do Python, because you see manage.py is a Python file, if you do Python and manage.py, it will give you a list of all the commands, all available commands. You'll find them here. So if you don't remember a command, that's okay. You don't need to learn them, because if you do Python manage, you'll find them here. So let's see what we could use. So we're going to use this command start app because we want to build that app. All right. And command will go like this: Python, then manage py, and then command start app. And then we need to come up again with some kind of name. And I think that you don't see that, so let me move it here. All right, so again, it's going to be Python manage.py start app, and then we have to come up with some kind of app name, subscribers. I hope I spelled that correctly, subscribers. All right, okay, so if you do ls now, we got subscribers. All right, so that's pretty much, again, one more time. Python obviously is a Python command, manage.py is a manager file, start app is a command that will create a brand new app within our project, because again, Django is a framework that consists bunch of modules. So we just created a brand new module, or the right word would be app, because Django calls them apps, subscriber, and again, name, you could use whatever you like, right? It's up to you. So now let me open my code editor, and now we will move to actual code. So that's a project. All right, so let's take a look what we have here. So I hope you could see it well. All right, so now first of all, so this is an app. I'll get to it in a second. So then this is, you see, that's folder YouTube and manage. So pretty much exactly what we could see in our terminal. Manage subscribers YouTube. All right, so let's start with this part. Now this part contains a bunch of files. So Django created all these files for us. Now settings is the main file. So pretty much where you place all your settings and where you manage all this stuff. I won't be able to go through all of these things because we have limited time. We do this, we have just 45 minutes. Now, but the main part is every time you create a new app, you must, I want to underline that, must add it to installed apps. You see, Django already came with a bunch of apps, so that's a list, and you need to add here our project, which is subscribers. Hopefully spelled it correctly. So the first thing you do after you create an app, you need to add it to install apps. That's a rule. If you for some reason skip it, then Django won't see your app. All right, so you must add it. Okay, cool. Now here we also got URLs, but I'm gonna get to URLs a little bit later. So then that's pretty much what we create as subscribers. And when you hit that command start app, Django will create all these files. So these files kinda represent MVC. Remember, where is that MVC thing? It's here. So first thing first, we need to build a database because we don't have a database, so we need to build this part. So model, and the same name we got here, models, and here you need to build a database. All right, so now we will create a database, and we're going to be writing in classes database always. You always have to create a database as a class. So what exactly we're going to be doing? If you're familiar with SQL or relational databases, you know that you got to provide schema. So that's schema. And the best part I like about Django, that no matter what database you're using with your Django project, you could use the same code over and over again. You don't have to think about all these little commas and all this and that, and it's kind of like annoying. So that's what you do. So then we have to come up with a name for our schema, for our model, and I'm gonna call it friend. All right, so that's my model because all my subscribers, they're all friends. So please subscribe to this channel. All right, and now since it's a class, we can class actually inherit stuff from models. So here we're going to inherit stuff from models. Model. All right. Now then we need to provide fields. All right, so you always think, all right, so I'm building a database. What fields do I need to have? So here I'm going to have first name, and so that first name will be a name of my field, and then I need to define that field, so it's going to be models. And you could go to Django documentation because it comes with all these different fields. So here, so obviously first name will be a string, so I need to use char field. All right, so char field is a simple field that will hold any string, whatever string. Doesn't have to be a name, could be, I don't know, like anything. All right, and here we could specify max length. So max length, all right, and max length, it depends. People coming from different countries. Sometimes people have like really long names, so I'm gonna put 200 characters. All right, so this is optional, but you could do it. So then last name, so last name will be second field in my database, so it's going to be models, and then it's going to be chart field again, and pretty much the same. And by the way, I really like using this visual code, because it kind of helps you. You see, I started typing and it kind of helps me, and again it's going to be 200 characters. So let's save it. So that's pretty much our model at the moment. All right, so that's pretty much our model at the moment. We don't have time to build models, but if you want to like add more fields, like, I don't know, like nickname or phone number or email address or like whatever, so obviously it's going to be pretty much done in the same fashion. So make sure you save it, make sure it's saved. All right, every time you make changes to your model, you need to create a database. But before that, let me show you something else. Now, like I told you, Django batteries included, right? So there is file admin. It also was created for us. So this admin.py file, what it's going to do, since we don't have any HTML templates yet, we haven't created any yet, it will give us default HTML templates just for now. All right, kind of like backdoor to your project. All right, so what we're going to do here is, so first we need to import our model. So this little dot means that I'm importing a file from the same folder. I don't have to put name of this app or the folder subscribers, but here I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do models. And then we import, okay, so from that models import, and what we're importing, model name friend. So Django, pretty much as Python, is really case sensitive. So if you got friend with a capital F, so you got to use it with a capital F, all right? Now, and then simple operation. So what we need to do, we need to register. So it's going to be admin, and then it's going to be what? register, and then it's going to be, I'm sorry, I always do this mistake. It's going to be site, and then it's going to be register, all right? Register. Register with a lowercase r, okay? So, and then in register, we want to place our model friend. Make sure you save it. Make sure you save it. All right, so now it's time to create a database based on our schema. So I'm going to get back to terminal. Let me clean this terminal bit. I hope you could see it. Yes, you could see it. So here I need to run this command, Python manage make migrations. So make migrations. So what it does, it will create a blueprint of your schema. All right. So every time you make even slightly change in your model, you need to run make migrations. Now, if we get back here, you see we got these migrations folder, and here we got the first file, and it's kind of got the same fields as we have in our model. And by the way, it's actually added this ID, because as you know, in a relational database, you gotta have some kind of unique identifier. So that's what make migrations does. It creates this blueprint. So second command that you need to do Python manage.py and then migrate. So migrate will create a database based on migrations. All right, and you see we got a bunch of OKs here, so that's how you do it. One more time, if you're moving along with me. So it's actually Python manage migrate. So first make migrations always when you make changes to a database, and then migrate. All right, so then we want to create a super user. So super user is going to be admin. So it's going to be managepy. So you see all the commands that you do, they actually come through this manage.py file. All right, so that's kind of manager. And then you create super user. All right, so create super user. So that's a command. Now I'm gonna do this. Okay, so that's going to be my username. You could enter email. I'm going to leave it blank, and password. So keep in mind that Django takes security very seriously, and you cannot use just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or QWERTY or something like that, because it will check it and will make sure that you have capital letters, you have numbers, and all this stuff. So super user created successfully. Yay! All right. So now it's time to actually see our project. All right. Okay. So how we're going to do it? Remember I told you that Django comes with a built-in server. So Python manage.py run server. All right. So that's a local server. And what it's telling us that now our project live, and that's actually address, temporary address. Why super user? Okay, so I see the question. Why super user? So somebody has to admin this website. Who is the owner of this website? So super user is a user who got all this authority to manage and make changes on your website. So that's a super user. You could have any number of super users, but be careful, because super user has rights to change stuff. Okay, cool. So now I'm gonna grab this part, right? I'm gonna open new window. All right. So I'm gonna open new window. I'm gonna place it here. Ta-da! All right, so there are good news. Our app is working. You see, if you see this little rocket ship, so everything is working fine. Okay, what's next? So next we need to enter a couple of entries in our database. How would we do it? We gotta log in. So /admin. So here do admin, and then hit enter, and it will take you. So again, how do you get here? You do slash after this IP address 127 8000/admin. You put admin here, so that's important, all right? Then your username and the password, and bam. So we kind of went through that back door. And now we see our database here. So that's what admin.py does. It creates these templates because we don't have any templates yet. So let's click here, and now this is, you see, 0 friends. Oh, this is not good. Let's add a friend. All right, so suppose I got this friend Mark. All right, and then his last name is Johnson. All right, so save it. Add another friend, let's say Anna, and then let's say Watson. All right, and then let's add one more guy, let's say John, and that's Johnson. Okay, save. All right, so you see now we have 3 objects in our database. All right, so that's thing done. Now what I want to do, I want to build a front end. We got back end part running on local server, so now we got to build our own templates. All right, and we got to build a view. So speaking in terms of MVC, we got this part taken care of. So now we got to build controller. Now the most confusing part is that controller. To build a controller, you got to build it in views. And people always, especially beginners, asking me, all right, so you're saying controller, but it says views, like, what the heck? And that's like, you can find the answer to this question in common Q&As on in Django documentation, because they told that, hey people, like, we think that we should call it a view, but again, if you take a look at MVC, that's where you write that code to manage everything. That's a controller. All right, so don't think about naming too much. And again, if you don't believe me, just go to Django documentation. It says so there. So they're saying that we think that controller could be called views. That's our opinion. All right. Okay, so what do we do here? So here we need to create a view. And to create a view, and again, like when I say view, I actually mean this controller, that code that will be managing stuff. And today I'm going to be using a simple class that actually comes from Django itself, because again, Django better is included. And my goal today is to show you that it's really easy to start learning Django. All right, and what we could do, we could import a list view from Django itself. So how we're going to do it? We're going to do from Django. All right. So Django, let me see, views. All right. And then generic. So Django comes with generic views, and then it's going to be list. And we import. And again, everything is case sensitive. So list view with a capital L and view. All right, so list view. So that's what's going on. Also, we will be working with our model, so we also need to import model because we're going to be working with that model. So it's going to be from dot models import, pretty much like last time, friend. All right, so we're importing that model because we need to run some operations on that database. All right, so let me see. Oh, Django, yes, Django. From Django views, generic list. All right, a list view. Hope it works. All right, we'll see. If it won't work, Django will throw us an error and we'll fix it later. Okay, cool. So then what we're going to do, we're going to do class. Class, you always start with a capital letter. All right, so it's going to be, how would we call this? Let's call display friends. Okay, friends. Okay, now this class will inherit from list view directly. All we need to do is to attach a model. So we need to provide a model where to fetch that information where to fetch that information from. Yes, yes. Thank you for pointing that. Yes, it's actually Django with or at the end. All right, so we need to do model, and then what we need to do, we need to provide model which is friend. That's it. We're done. That's a controller done as a view. All right, and again, I'm sorry for doing that. I don't want to confuse you, but it is what it is. All right. So now question: how would we call this view? Because we need to call this view, and then this view will fetch all the records from that database which is friend. All right. So we need to call it pretty much like a function. You need to call a function. So that's a view. You need to call a view. And you need to call a class. All right, so now this is where you go here, and here you'll see urls.py, urls dispatcher. All right, because when request comes, it goes through that URL dispatcher. So if you switch here, you see we got one URL that we used before, admin, because remember we did that IP address /admin. So it comes by default, but we need to create more. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to copy this one, and I'll create this one here. So this is pretty much this part. Instead of admin, you have to place whatever you want to use as a part, as sub part of your URL. So something unique, some kind of unique, like something, I don't know. So let's do friends. It's going to be simple, friends. So if I do IP address /friends, then it's supposed to call that display view. So that's display view. I'm just going to copy it from here. I don't want to misspell it. Okay, I'm just going to grab it from here. I'm going to go here. And then I'm saying that if somebody types friends, call that view. How do we call it? As a view. All right. So now there is one little problem. We have not imported display view. That's why it's giving me this error. You see, undefined. So we need to import it. Every time you need to import everything. So from where? From subscribers. All right, subscribers, because that's the name of our app, and that's the name of the folder, because it will be coming from views. That views import. And what we import in display friends. Okay, everything has to be imported. This is very, very important. All right, just make sure you got this part. So now, first you do view, then you create URL dispatcher. So if somebody like types friends, this thing will be called. All right, and then this view will fetch data from a database. All right, now we need to render it. We need to render. How we're going to render it? So we need HTML templates. All right, cool. Let's go back to subscribers. And here in subscribers, you need to create new folder, and be careful, call it templates. Templates. All right, so once in my class, there was a lady, and she called it template. And template didn't do. So we spent like an hour trying to figure out what went wrong. So be careful, it's got to be plural, templates. In this folder, and again, this folder goes into subscribers. In this folder, we need to create another folder. So the name of the folder has to match name of our app, which is subscribers. All right. So yes, no, this is confusing, but it has to match that app name that we're working on. So it's going to be subscribers. Let me check subscribers. I hope you could see everything. Yes, subscribers. All right, cool. So now here in subscribers, we can create an HTML file. So we should use a special naming convention. So this name file gotta have two parts. So first part is the name of the model friend. So that's the first name. Then underscore list. Why list? Because we use it for list view. .html. So I think this is like really cool. You can actually use HTML files in your Python code. All right. All right, so friend underscore list. All right, so here I'm gonna type something just to test h tag, and in h tag I'm gonna do hello just to test it. Make sure you save it. Make sure everything's saved. Again, templates, name of the second folder is supposed to reflect this name, subscribers, and then friend. Why friend? Because that's the name of your model, and list. All right, and obviously you could come up with other names, but then it will we need to specify that in a view. All right, so let's stop right here. So let me show you how that stuff works. Where is my browser? So my browser is here, and now, so that's my landing page. This is my landing page. All right, so nothing's here. So what I could do, I could actually call friends, and if I do slash friends, it will take me to this hello. You see, I'm getting this hello if I do friends. So that's pretty much how any web app works. So request comes, you punching in your URL, and then your browser sends a request, and based on that part, and it means something, a specific code will be called. All right, so based on friends, if we call it banana, then we would need to change that URL to banana. All right, so that's the point I'm trying to make. All right, cool. Let's do a little bit more than just hello, because that's boring, right? Okay, so now let's go back here, and here we in HTML, and this is amazing, you get to write actual Python code. You see, you could actually mix HTML and Python, all right, but you got to do it carefully. So you need to do it in tags, and you got to do this percentage signs, all right. So it means that's a tag, and I'm going to do a for loop. And by the way, if you have no idea how to use for loops, please go to our previous session, our previous video. Last week we did like really cool video on live session on for loops. So for, and then I have to come up with some kind of name. All right, so I'm going to use name in object. So object list. Why object list, you might ask? We got to use object list because we're using a generic view. So if you create your own view, then you could call it whatever you like. Otherwise, generic views would return object underscore and then name of that view. In our case, it's list. So object underscore list. So because we're using that generic view. All right. So then here we gotta do name. And again, why do we do name? So let me do banana so it will be more fun. So if you do banana, so then you got to do banana here. So banana is just a variable name, all right? So banana. So then every object comes from banana. And then you got to do first name. And why first name? Because first name is what we have in our model, because that stuff is coming from our model, from our database. All right, and then I gotta do exactly same, and this time I'm gonna be doing last name. Okay, last name. All right, now I think banana is not appropriate, so I'm gonna switch to name, because name would be more appropriate, variable name. Or sometimes people do object, but I'm going to stick to name because I think that's what I have in my original code. All right. And I'll wrap it in h1 tags. All right. So I'm just going to wrap it in h1 tags here. All right. So now the only thing that's different is that we need to actually close that for loop. So yeah, so here, so there is a question, are curly brackets for commenting or executing Python commands? Yes, curly braces exactly for that. If you want to write, so they actually call tags. If you want to write Python code, you need to do it as tags. And double double curly braces means that this is an object coming. All right, so that's pretty much like a template, and we inserting something into template. And the last part, we need to close it, so it's going to be and for. So that's how you gotta finish it. All right, it's not important. Indentation not important in this case because come on, we're in HTML file. Make sure you save it. Now that's pretty much it. If you go back to our refresh this page, so now we got Mark Johnson, my dear friend Mark Johnson, Anna Watson, John Johnson. You see, so that's the data that's coming from a database. So again, what Django does, it manages database and it fetches all this information. Okay, so if you want to learn more about Django, write me and we'll do more sessions. Okay, we'll do more live sessions, and live sessions kind of fun because you get to ask questions in real time. So we have a couple of minutes left. Please let me know if you have any questions. In the meantime, I'll take a look. What do we have here? Please let me know if you have any other questions. So people asking, is there recording? Come on, we're on YouTube. So this video will be available right after we start stop live streaming. Obviously, yes. What else? Okay, so far no questions. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes because I know there is a little bit delay between me and you because of YouTube. So let me know if you have any questions. And again, all my original code you can find in the description to this video. It's down there, and all the steps they actually there too. All right. So if you want to do more sessions, please let me know. Also, we run Python and Django courses here in New York. Can you use Atom or Sublime? Sure, absolutely. It's up to you. Whatever you like. As a matter of fact, I used to use Sublime for many years, and I recently switched to this Visual Studio Code, and actually I like it. Yeah, I like it. So I think it gives you more. It's more versatile. It's more versatile than Sublime. So it's up to you. But if you want to use Sublime, keep using Sublime. All right. Thank you. So again, so this is my book, and pretty much it explains everything how to use Django to build versatile mobile apps with React and React Native. And please let me know because we could do more live sessions, and we do live sessions. I try to do them every week, although next week I'll have to skip. But next time we're going to be doing dictionaries, so please subscribe to this channel. And thank you and goodbye. See you next time. Subscribe.